Okay, so Ciro, thanks again for availability and explaining the latest news regarding the Italian tax credit. There's been a lot of rumors around the Italian tax credit, so maybe it's useful just to make clarity once again. We've heard that rumors like there's not the opening for the Italian tax credit. There's going to be restrictions that because of the latest scandals regarding the American citizen being arrested for an assassin, that there's been a lot of restrictions, especially for artificial intelligence, but also for the tax credit. Can you just make clarity regarding the recent decree 2540 of June 2025 related to the tax credit restrictions, and whether there is a effective crisis of the credibility of the Italian Ministry of Culture?
Yeah. Good morning, Alberto. Thank you to you for involving in this interview. So first of all, I would explain to you that I don't see any kind of closing from the Italian Ministry of Culture to the tax credit. So the Italian tax credit system is divided into two main branches. One is for the works of Italian nationality, and the other is the works of foreign nationality. So as a matter of fact, the tax credit that works better is that related to the foreign tax credit, because the approach of the Italian government and the Italian Ministry of Culture is very open to this, to the attraction of foreign production to Italy in order to improve the audiovisual industry, the tourism, and so on. Recently, there was unfortunately a scandal, as you introduced before, related to an American citizen, his name is Kaufman, that obtained a tax credit of approximately 1 million euros without producing any kind of work. For this reason, they introduced some measure to avoid this. They are not restriction. They are measure to avoid frauds and to increase to strengthen the control power of the Ministry of Culture with regard to the work of foreign nationality. The funds for the audiovisual system, for the audiovisual industry is very consistent, because we are speaking about 700 million per year, that compared to other the legislation, to other system, is very important. I don't know how many European country may have this amount of funds available.
So just to do an easy recap, we have 40% tax credit on eligible costs, meaning costs that are recognized by the ministry as good standing to have a write-off in the production costs, plus also above the line elements that are usually not considered eligible as long as they are within 30% of the budget. For example, yes,
with regard to the ATL cost, we have these two limits. The first is the 30% of budget. If the ATL costs are exceeding the 30% of budget, so the excess cost is not eligible.
But the part within it is eligible, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Great. Yes.
And the other limit, that it's not a real limit, is that with regard to the cost related to the ATL figure that are fiscal resident in countries outside of the European space, the rate is not 40%, but is 30%. 30.
Okay, let's do an example, and just for the sake of the example, let's insert also English elements, because with Brexit, people are uncertain whether they are within the European space or not.
No, UK is not in the European space, because as a matter of fact, in the Eurospace, the countries included in the European space are the European Union plus Norway, Switzerland, and Liechtenstein. So I know that UK is under negotiations with the European Union to enter like Norway.
Okay. Another issue that has been always brought up, especially in these productions that you and I have assisted, and maybe simplicity and clarity will be helpful, the withholding tax. When an American artist is hired by the Italian service company, then the Italian service company withholds an amount as called withholding tax. Compared to with the withholding tax in the United States, the American talent says, no, I don't agree to pay such a greater amount. How is that dealt? How is this solved?
So in order to get a tax credit, the foreign producer must contract an Italian service production company, because who gains the tax credit is the Italian company, the Italian production service company, that file the application for the tax credit to the Italian government. The Italian production service company may incur the cost for, let me say, for the main actors. But in order to this cost to be eligible for the Italian tax credit system, so the supplier must be fiscal resident of Italy or must be taxed on the special flow of income. And in case of a foreign artist, this income, if paid by an Italian taxpayer, is subject to a withholding tax that, according to the Italian rule, is 30%. Let me explain this detail.
Mm-hmm.
If we speak about the ATR figures, the above the lines, so there is a position of Italian tax administration saying that, in their opinion, only actors are involved in the withholding tax of 30%, because these positions include only the actors as artists, and their income is ruled under the Article 17 of the treaty, of the various treaty between Italy and the other country. While, as an instance, the authors or directors are treated by another article. They are treated as professionals, and they are subject to withholding tax only if they have a fixed base in Italy.
Let's do an example which is useful. I've assisted a movie where there is a very big actor that requires a lot of entourage to come over. That means a private jet, personal makeup, personal assistants, bodyguard, and hotel. And he is above the line a very high considerable amount of cost. Okay, the comparison that the producer does is, shall we shoot him in the United States, where they don't have to obviously spend for all the transportation, or shall we shoot it in Italy because he, together with all the costs, become eligible? So I guess at the end, the real change is the withholding tax. I'll give you an example. This actor will cost 1.2 million for shooting, okay, plus all the flight, all the transportation, all the entourage. It came up to 1.8 million. So 1.8 million should be eligible, but on that there is the withholding tax. So what does the producer need to do? Shoot it in the United States, or is it preferable to shoot it in Italy?
So for the ATL cost, it's better to incur them in the US. With regard to the below the line, so we will not have any kind of restriction, because if they contract Italian figures. So in this case, all the costs will be eligible. The main actors from outside of Italy, let me say, they are resident of the US. In any case, they will be subject to this withholding tax of 13%. That I don't know that it could sound a little expensive for a US actor, I suppose.
Plus, we have to consider all the Screen Actor Guild that imply, even if you're shooting abroad, even if the service company is not signatory to the SAG. Tell us a little bit about the latest restriction regarding artificial intelligence. It sounded like an excuse for the ministry to make a restriction, but basically it does not affect foreign producers to use artificial intelligence as long as the end use of the artificial intelligence is then utilized by human being, and then it falls under the creativity.
The use of artificial intelligence is allowed in case of special act related to main actors. In principle, the cost related to artificial intelligence is not eligible, but there are some rules saying that the real intention is the disclosure of the use of artificial intelligence. But in any case, if you rule on the agreement, the artificial intelligence misuse and the various authors allow the producer to use the artificial intelligence, and they are compensated for the authorization to use the artificial intelligence, in this case, the cost is eligible.
Okay, that is quite tricky, and I guess it is solved if in the contract it is clear what the author or artist is implying and delivering in terms of creativity. And so basically we could say, when you say it rules, as long as all the parties agree what has been laid out by artificial intelligence, then everybody's happy. And so the Italian ministry will accept, even if partially has been created by artificial intelligence. Okay.
The main intention is to avoid any hidden use of the artificial intelligence. But if the thing is disclosed on the agreement and it is authorized, and the various parties involved is adequately compensated, so I suppose that this can be eligible.
Okay, I think another matter quite important is to make clarity between what is of cultural interest, meaning it may trigger Italian nationality, and what should not be of Italian cultural interest in order to elect for the 40%.
So one of the requirements for the Italian tax credit is that the work must be of foreign nationality, and the Italian nationality must not be hidden. Let me explain what occurs to the various platforms, to the OTT that are working in Italy. So as a matter of fact, they buy all the rights related to the Italian work. You know, if they buy an Italian work, all the figure, especially the ATL figure, are Italian.
Ciro, let's talk a little bit about little restrictions regarding the latest law requiring bank traceability.
So, as you said before, at the end of June, the Italian government issued two decrees, one for the international works and the other for the domestic works.
So we can simplify that: foreign nationality films and Italian nationality films. Yeah.
So this law introduced the obligation for the cost, for the eligible cost higher than 1,000 euro.
So basically, producers have to show all the receipts for any cost above 1,000.
The other obligation is to use a special bank account.
A dedicated bank account.
Must include, it is dedicated to all the financial flow related to the film. Another important novelty is the expert appraisal. So there are some assessment, some audit from the Italian tax administration about the fairness of some costs related to
let's
various
say bluntly,
project beneficiary
a
of a
film,
tax credit.
an Italian unknown film director being paid 1 million. Okay.
The Italian Ministry of Culture is entitled to ask this special expert appraisal about the fairness of some production cost in order to award the eligibility.
Who determines the fairness?
Yeah, it's very difficult. So from my side, so I'm a tax expert, as you know, I'm a tax lawyer, and it is very close to the work that is done in case of transfer pricing between among international companies.
Sure, there's another issue regarding a new requirement in order to obtain the Italian tax credit, which is the delivery of the work. It sounds a little bit like the Moroccan cash rebate. Before, until the latest decree of June 2025, all you had to do is prove with an ordinary and diligent bookkeeping that all your accounts were in good shape. And then at the end, the awarded tax credit was being released from your fiscal draw. Now, the latest requirement is that you show the effective film being shot. So the ministry wants to see on screen what you have spent. But
yes,
what must you show? The final film that goes in the theaters, or the rough cuts? Because the difference is huge. It takes at least another 2 to 3, even 4 months before you get the edited version copy, which means you have to wait another 4 months in order to obtain that tax credit, and that also is costing the production because it's paying the interest rates with the bank.
The application for the Italian tax credit is shared between two main events. So the preliminary application and the final application. So before the final application being approved by the Italian government, so they may ask a complete copy of the finished work. So I suppose it is the finished work. That is
what is complete?
Completed.
Yeah.
This is another consequence of the Kaufman affair. So in case of the film shot by Kaufman, they got the tax credit, but at the end the film was not diffused.
Yeah, was not delivered. Yeah.
So this is against the interest of the Italian government.
I have a living example of a film being shot but never distributed because there was not enough money for the post-production, and there has been costs related to the post-production for tax credit, which is in a limbo. So on one side, I do understand the ministry wanting to impose another limitation requirements. On the other side, there has to be some sort of elasticity, because otherwise the producers are having to wait such a great time to get the money released.
The government is not asking a proof of the show. So they are not, because I suppose that this is very difficult for the Italian, because you know that the final beneficiary of the tax credit is the Italian production service company. So for them, it's not easy to show the proof of the diffusion of the work around the world, because they are not entitled to this.
Yeah, because for the Italian nationality incentive, they're required before this decree 20 contracts for distribution.
Of course. In case of Italian nationality, it's easier. International nationality for the Italian production service company, it could be impossible because they don't have any right to the distribution, to the diffusion of the work.
So let's get a little bit into the suspicion behavior of the ministry. I think it's also being triggered by late Italian service companies that have triggered a great amount of tax credit inventing, so to speak, costs like 3D shooting. Now, without saying names, do you believe that 3D shooting, which I don't know what sort of market will satisfy, will be eligible as a cost for the Italian tax credit?
This is a very, very difficult question for me. The Italian production service company is not involved in marketing and distribution.
Can challenge,
They
but
are challenged.
we're not certain. And also, we will see the events of a company that is on
Unless the foreign producer allow a license for distribution to Italian production service company.
I mean, I would say if I were the ministry, I would want to see the foreign territory requiring a 3D distribution, offering a 3D distribution. Then I would allow that 3D cost.
Yeah. In principle, the Italian production service company should not have any right, any IP on the work. In principle.
Another huge point.
They can be licensed. There is the possibility, in case that no co-production is possible, that the ministry may allow to the Italian production service company that could be granted some limited IP, but this can be expressly authorized by the Italian government.
So it should be authorized prior to the shooting of 3D, I would say. Okay, that would be reasonable and diligent, and not as an expectation, as some companies have tried to do and found themselves in difficulties right now, as we've been reading in the newspapers. Ciro, what else can we talk about in order to give a good recommendation to foreigners who are scared about the Italian tax credit? I know that there is an increased public funding because in 2016 it has increased for the film and TV series to 400 million per year. What is the situation now? Is there going to be an increase? Is there going to be a decrease of the availability of the money for the foreign tax credit?
I suppose not, because you know that the amount has been kept during all these tax years, and the approach of the Italian government to the foreign tax credits is very open, because they understand the importance of this benefit. You know, these recent measures are aimed to avoid frauds, are to enhance transparency, but they are not restrictive.
Okay, it sounds like, and we've been debating, you and I and with other colleagues on this table, that the ministry, at least the government, should have very expert professionals to understand.
So my suggestion to the foreign product producer is to appoint very good Italian production service company, is to use a certain scrutiny in the election of the Italian service production company. Important scrutiny also in the professionals.
I would love to finish this talk with you, Ciro, regarding a huge absence of international bilateral treaty. We've been talking so much about US and Trump's tariffs on the cinema, which hopefully will never happen. He should, if he wants to protect internal movie making with the incentives rather. But referring to the great absence is a bilateral treaty between Italy and US, obviously coordinated between the ministries, and hopefully with the help of skilled professionals, it could be done. How do you see this?
So, Alberto, it is unbelievable. I don't know, because Italy has like 100 treaty for production treaty with other countries, but we don't have a treaty with the US. It's unbelievable.
This is the time, because of the crisis and because of the elasticity of social culture, that Italy and US sit together, and we as professionals in Italy and members of the intellectual property Commission would allow ourselves and be available to structure and lay out the grounds for this treaty.
The co-production treaty rules the nationality of each work. Without the treaty, so the allowance of the nationality is not granted. Every time you have to ask to the ministry if you can get the nationality or not. And without the nationality, so you cannot get the Italian tax credit. So this is unbelievable. So co-production is with US producer.
The ministry hasn't even imagined the amount of foreign American productions coming in if there was this treaty, obviously diligently drafted and ruled for it. Okay. And obviously we're available to anybody who wants to have more information regarding the Italian tax credit. Okay. Ciro, thank you very much. Next time we'll deal with another thing. Okay.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Sweet dreams are made of this. Who am I to disagree? Trouble the world and the seven seas. Everybody's looking for something. Some of them want to use you. Some of them want to get used by you. Some of them want to abuse you. Some of them want to be abused. Sweet dreams are made of this. Who am I to disagree? Travel the world and the seven seas. Everybody's looking for something.